What's up, everybody? Rich Marks the Spot here. It's been a minute since I made a YouTube video, so I thought I would just hop on real quick because I just had a really interesting interaction. For the first time ever, I did a podcast interview to be a guest, and it was the Digital Trailblazers podcast. I saw them on Facebook. I reached out, and they reached out, set up a meeting to get to know me, see if I would be a good fit on the podcast. I'm not sure I will be, but it was super fun. I was thinking right before the call went on, it's so awkward when you first sign on to a Zoom call. You know, it doesn't have to be for a podcast, but any Zoom call with a professional connection or whatever. So I was like, how do I be memorable? Because he probably does a lot of them every day. So I started playing some music. And when he logged in, he's a busy guy. And I logged in, and I was dancing around to the music. And he's like, hello, Richard, how are you? I was like, great. I put it down. He didn't even flinch. He didn't ask me about it, but I was like, if he did ask me about it, like, what are you doing? I was going to say, I'm just trying to be memorable so that you remember me after this call. So that's a little idea I wanted to share. If you want to be memorable on a Zoom call, be playing some music on your phone and maybe dance a little bit or do something that's memorable right off the bat instead of like going into like, hi, how are you? You know, do something crazy. An instance that was pretty crazy for my wife, that I was playing around with a Zoom account on the computer, and I think I had like a ducky mask and her in space. Like I was testing out the filters before, and I never changed them. So when she went into a Zoom call, she was a ducky in space, and literally everybody, that was super memorable for the group. I don't know if I would go that far with doing something memorable, but maybe you could be like smoking a cigarette really slow and then just put it out in an ashtray, or like take a huge gulp of water, like, hi. And they're like, what did that person just do? Run a marathon? I don't know, but get creative with it. Be memorable. All right. So the reason I wanted to make this video, let me get back on track here. So it was the first time doing a podcast interview to be a guest. There was a point to my video here. I was going to hop on. Prior to going on the call, I had like an hour to kill. So I was like, wait a minute, why would I be a good guest for a podcast? So I was like, dang, I should have been thinking about this all week, not waiting till the last minute to work on my pitch. And I don't know if you're like me. I've had multiple Google Docs in my folder for years and years with like, here's my long pitch, here's my short pitch. Even at times when I didn't even know what I wanted to pitch, I was like, all right, I'm just going to write my life story out. Now with AI, you probably could just copy and paste that into the AI and it'll help you facilitate what your pitch is. Anyways, I still don't have a good pitch. Like if someone comes up to me at a party, it's like, oh, what do you do, Rich? I blank. I'm like, most people don't even know what I do. You know, I just say marketing. And, you know, some people are like, oh, cool, he just posts on Facebook. It's like, okay, no, I don't. Do little social media, but that's okay. So I'm still working on my pitch and telling my life story, and I want to chop this video up into reels. So I'm going to attempt to kind of tell you about myself in a longer format rather than a shorter format. So my name is Richard Marcheski Jr. Some of my friends call me Rich Marks the Spot. I don't know how I got that nickname, but there was a time when I wanted to start doing freelance marketing, and I was going to go under the moniker Rich Marks the Spot. Didn't seem professional enough. So I came up with this idea to be the creativity scientist, where I can kind of take creative ideas and content writing and making videos and telling stories and aligning sales and marketing, and then adding a science element. How do we optimize? How do we monetize? How do we put this content out in the right way so it finds the right audience? Bringing you back to the beginnings of Rich Marks the Spot, or the creativity scientist, or let's start at Richard Marcheski Jr., because that's where it all started. An interesting fact about me that I don't tell a lot of people is, and it's not because I'm embarrassed about it, or I just don't let it define me. So I never really bring it up. But I figure now that I'm doing podcasts and I'm talking more online and I'm getting more comfortable being on camera, I'm not too concerned about the judgment that I might get, or I just don't care anymore. I'm a father of 3 great kids. They're all 3 under 5. I'm a husband. I'm a hobby master. I love hobbies. I mean, you'll find me getting a new hobby every 2 weeks. Never really mastering any one, But I think I enjoy the process of learning just as much as the process of getting good at something. So in third grade, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. So the only thing that really changed is now I was the kid at sleepovers with a nebulizer and pills and notes from my mom and lots more doctor's appointments. I've been hospitalized a couple times in my life. Once I was when I first got diagnosed, and then the second time was when I moved away from home to Savannah, Georgia. The reason moving away wasn't why I was sick, it's just I wasn't taking care of myself or taking my medicine for a long time in my early 20s, and it all caught up to me. So I needed to go into an antibiotic cleanout for 2 weeks and really just reset my life and get back on medicine and be smart. Another thing about myself is, I was in credit card debt. I had no real direction. I was taking odd job after odd job after odd job and never really like pursuing anything static. Because I wanted early on in my life, diagnosis of fibrosis. And the next pivot in my life was in sixth grade. I was waiting for my sisters who were in a play at school, and we all took the bus home together. So my mom made me wait for them so we could take the bus together. And the director saw me sitting there every day and would make me fill in little parts when someone wasn't there. And then slowly she was like, you're going to be in the play, you're going to sing, you're going to dance. And I was like, what am I going to do? And by the end of that learning session and she's creating this production, I was literally headlining all the numbers and dancing and singing. So she took this punk ass kid and turned him into something that people were like, how did you get him to do that? And that's the year I quit playing sports and I started dancing, ballet, tap, jazz, acrobatics, acting, singing, doing the yearly recital and doing competitions. And I did that out through high school. Professionally, I worked at Busch Gardens, Virginia as a dancer. I also worked at Foothills Theater in Worcester. I did a modern dance production in Boston, and then kind of slowly stopped the dancing and continued with the odd jobs, but moved to Savannah, Georgia to go to Savannah College of Art and Design, which I flunked out of. And then I got a job working at the Old Pink House in historic Savannah. And that was my introduction to fine dining and wine. I was really learning a lot about wine. It was like wine college. A sommelier was doing these wine classes and we were taking huge notes, and it was huge studying and just a lot of selling wine, a lot of fine dining, waiting on celebrities. And that's when I was at my most sick in my life. And then I moved home after a year there, failing out of college. I got better. I got well. I started waiting tables and decided to go to college in the right way. And eventually I got my master's degree in business, and I was super depressed after that. I can remember in my statistics final, coming outside, it was my last college class ever, and the sun was shining, and it was like a crisp 75 degrees, and I had my headphones on, and I was listening to a music CD that I had just burned. It was an MP3 at this point. It wasn't a CD, but it was music I made fully. And I'm walking to my car to go to my serving shift and just depressed about my future. So I continued waiting tables for a while, and I met this director of a creative agency who asked me what I do outside of work. And I started telling him I love to make beats. I love creating things and doing graphic design and drawing and telling stories and doing comic books. And he just was like, you sound like you should work at an agency, if you're good at these creative things. And we started collaborating on print design and logos, and started getting into web design and working with clients and how to revise client revisions, stuff like that. Eventually, we ended up working together. I was a full-time salesperson at the company. This is when they transitioned from digital media to video first. So right away, I dove in with pre-production, production, selling marketing films, corporate films. But I was way more interested in the creative side of the business, like what is going in for this marketing. Can I cut that out? Yeah, I was super interested in the video side. I'm watching these filmmakers edit and produce and direct, and I was like, that is amazing. I love that. Because working with the client and getting shy people to be on camera, and then the result was so amazing, and the ROI was so huge for these videos early on. I was like, I want to make videos. And in college, I did. I made a couple of short films. They were awfully good. and did them as projects because it was like, oh, I could write a paper, I could do a project. I was like, I'm going to do the digital project because it's going to be way more fun. And scripted out short stories and move forward. One day in the office before Thanksgiving, I was like, let's make something. I had already been kind of like joking around with social media videos and showing the team and, making them laugh. And I was like, one day, let's do something serious. I said, grab your camera, we're going to go film something. I'm going to go buy 4 strangers, or I'm going to go buy strangers lunch, and we're going to film it and see what happens. So I convinced 4 people to go grab lunch with me, and we went to a faux spot on Green Street in Worcester, and we just ate pho and talked about life, and it was beautiful. And I put the edit together in a day, and some of the team members were like over my shoulder, like, what is he doing? And they were like, oh, that's really awesome. And they started to help a little bit and tweak and give me notes about pacing and about titles, and took the video and put it out Thanksgiving Day that year. It was a couple days later, Thanksgiving was coming. That was the concept, and it went viral. It got picked up by news outlets, and people were resharing it and liking it. It was huge. It was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe how many people shared and liked it. So that was like an eye-opening experience. It's like, wow, I could really make something, not as a personality, which is probably the route I should have gone, but as someone in marketing who could help tell a story. Fast forward a bit, and I wanted to be the marketing director for the company, and it just didn't align with the owner's vision, and that was fine. So I started freelancing. Times were tough. It wasn't easy. I was getting clients, but man, it was like eat what you kill. And then COVID hit, and we were all scared. And my brother-in-law, he's a master electrician. He said, have you ever thought about becoming an electrician? And I said, not really, but that sounds amazing. So that's where the wind was blowing me. So I put on the tool belt and I started diving into being an electrician. And I did it for 2 years. I took all the classes. We worked hard, and I appreciate that time we spent together, but I was also doing his marketing. And after 2 years, my heart was not in the electrical work, but it was in the marketing. So I transitioned and I got hired at a company from LinkedIn, and it turned out to be a scam. They wanted me to ship an iPhone and an iPad and get their security put on it for my new gig. And I reached out to the real company, and we found out it was a big scam. It was like a phishing scam to get iPhones and iPads. It was around Christmas time. It was a punch in the gut. I had thought I had nailed a great remote position, and I was going to be working from home and have the, time with my family, my growing family. And it just wasn't meant to be. So instead of pouting in my basement, I remembered back to what the agency owner said to me before, talking about his struggles that he had raising a family and trying to eat what he killed. He said, just sometimes you got to go get the sale. You just lock yourself away until you get it. So I applied to a bunch of more jobs, and I got an interview at a manufacturing company. And I walked in, and it was for the title SEO specialist. The only problem was I had no knowledge about what SEO was. I Googled it, but I didn't know how to do it. So we sat down, we interviewed. They were pissed. Why would you come to an interview about SEO if you don't even know about it? And I said, here's what I want to do. If you'll allow me, here's what I'd like to do so that I'm not wasting your time. Let me create a couple campaigns and projects over the weekend, come back here Monday and present them to you. If you don't like them, you don't think I'm a good fit for your company, then no harm done. You get to keep what I've created, and we'll just move on. They thought it was an interesting idea. They gave me a couple products. I went into my basement at home. I made some videos. I made some brochures. I wrote up some stories and some copy. And I created a little SEO plan too, just from what I've learned prior to the interview. I went back and presented it, and they hired me. And that was my start in manufacturing. I was their first marketing hire. We were learning together and growing and creating systems and processes and learning how to align and refine sales and marketing and working with distributors and trying to really nail down the lead gen system as a whole and how each step of the buyer's journey could be improved. And we saw conversions. We saw increases in everything. So it's great to see what we created starting to work. I did outgrow the company, which resulted in my next role at a larger organization in manufacturing again. And I too was their first marketing hire, just like before. So my passion for manufacturing kind of came out of a need to provide for my family. And now that I'm in it, I love it because I love the science element of engineering and manufacturing. And I love the creative side of how we can tell those complicated stories to grab attention and bring customers in and solve problems. Now, what about the future? I'm currently writing Anti-Guru's approach to personal branding. It's more of like a journal. It's more of a lab journal about all of these thoughts I have for creating content for introverts and creatives and people who might be weary about putting themselves out online, or they're saying, I don't know what to post online. So there's a bunch of cool little anecdotes in the book, Be Yourself Out Loud, lab experiments and movie references. And it's also a guide I want to pass on to my kids when they want social media someday, because I don't want them to just, download the app and then be scrolling and doom scrolling. It's like when they ask this from me, I'm going to be super positive about it and say, this is an awesome idea. Let's do this the right way. What are you looking to put out in the world? I'm going to encourage that they create something and share it so that they can engage with people about what they're sharing, whether they want to start a business or if they want to just share their art, they want to talk about video games, whatever it is. I want this book to be a guide about how to do it the right way, meaning you can't fear the judgment. There's going to be haters, don't be scared to pivot and totally change what you're doing. Don't think you need to be aligned to anyone else's beliefs about what you're doing. And don't be scared to be really out there, because sometimes great ideas don't hit for 10 years, 20 years down the line. So that's kind of the book. I mean, it's not written yet. I have a very hard outline, meaning like I have it outlined really intensely. I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I'm still exploring, I'm just writing it. That I'm just going through the motions, the messy process. That's what I'm enjoying right now. I've used a bit of AI to help facilitate like all my ideas for each chapter, and there's an artifact built out so that I can scroll through chapters and I can start to fill in all the little pieces and start. And as I'm writing it, if I make a note, I can, adjust my master document, which kind of has the huge outline. Just the other day, for instance, I was writing a LinkedIn post about the book and about some experiences, and I started making movie quotes a lot. And I was like, wait, I love using movie quotes to explain stuff. So I added that to the book. So that's kind of a basic summary about who I am, where I've been, and where I'm going. I also have a podcast called 20 Year Timeout, where I track down people from my past that I've lost contact with for 20 years or more. It can be 18 years, 10 years. This is like a loose 20 year. That's just the title of the podcast. But mostly it is a lot of people who have lost contact with for 20 years or more. So you can find that on all major streaming platforms. It's literally like, oh, I wonder what happened to Billy Bob from 6th grade. It's me finding Billy Bob, and then we just get on camera for the first time in 20 or plus years, and we just talk and catch up about life and talk about nostalgia and talk about like family and talk about career, hobbies. What are you doing in the future? It's just like a catch-up session live. And what's great about it is, for me, I've become friends with these people that I've lost contact with, and there's a reason I wanted to reach out to them. I was curious and had so many questions. I'm sure they have questions for me, but I don't know where I was going with that. 20 Year Timeout, check it out. Yeah. So give me a like and subscribe. Rich Marks the Spot or the Creativity Scientist. I think I'm going to just start going under as my name, Richard Marcheski Jr. or Rich Marks, maybe. Yeah. All right, let's see. I'm going to put this video out. This was like an experiment in, Rich, go make a video. No excuses. whatever you come up with, you come up with. And this was like, the camera was on. And yeah, since the camera was on already, I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to tell people about myself. I'm going to talk about the story, about how I did my first podcast guest interview. It went pretty good. I thought it went great. It was fun. It wouldn't have been as fun if I had did it blindly, like, meaning if I hadn't done all the 20 Year Timeout podcast episodes, I probably would have been a lot more stressed out. But let me tell you, practicing being on camera has been great. Like, I feel a lot more comfortable talking now. I'm not scared to just turn the camera on and make a quick video, although I'm not as consistent as I should be with the YouTube videos. I need to be more consistent. That being said, the next video I want to make is just my whole process about how I do my podcast, from recording in Riverside, exporting out of there and using the AI tools to edit, and then importing into Buzzsprout and scheduling every Monday for the podcast to go live to all the platforms, and then uploading my video to Spotify, because you can upload videos to Spotify. And I think there are softwares that allow you to do the audio and video at the same time. I just haven't explored that yet. And then from there, I'll usually copy and paste the transcript and the chapters into Claude. And Claude kind of understands the show. I've created some instructions and I've uploaded some files. I've done the pre-work for my project in Claude. So now I can just paste those in there, and it gives me some title ideas and a description, and some tag ideas. And then, I've been using vidIQ for YouTube optimization, which I've been slacking hardcore doing it because it is a lot of work. And, I'm a father of 3 kids under 5. I work a full-time job. I have side work that I'm doing. And this is my passion project. So I've kind of gotten lax on that, and that's okay. I mean, the idea is to get a sponsor and get a little budget going so I can outsource some of that work and really optimize well. And hopefully that'll happen someday. And then I use Opus Clip to create all my reels. I upload the full video that I exported out of Riverside, and it generates, 20 to 40 reels. And then I just schedule them as an auto scheduler. I just schedule them to go out. Now, I could go into each video and tweak like I was doing when I first started the podcast, but it was very time consuming, and it would be better to do that. But for now, I'm just enjoying the process, and I schedule it so that episode goes out on Monday. Episode goes out on Monday, and then reels are just firing out. If you like them, you like them. Super fun. And, if one is stupid that goes out, I don't even care. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit there for 5 hours every week or 6 hours and go through, before you'd have to edit all your clips by yourself before Opus Clip, So I'm just thankful that there's like a tool like that can allow me to do so much creative stuff and share that I'll just work towards getting help with it if it ever took off, or if I ever, have the budget to do more, or to work with people. You got to work with people. If I can't work, I can't do everything myself, and that's why I just put it out. So subscribe and like, stay on the lookout for some more cool videos like this. Oh, for this video, yeah, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, but I'm also going to throw it in an Opus Clip and see what kind of clips I get. That way I can mix in some clips of myself and some clips of the podcast. And eventually I'd like to be doing some marketing videos too. Be talking about marketing and optimization and aligning and refining, all that cool keyword stuff, but in an anti-guru approach. It's funny, I have my Claude set up to literally smack me in the face if I start sounding like a guru in any of my prompts. Hit enter, they're like, oh, buddy, what are you, a guru all of a sudden? Are you going to be selling some coaching courses online? Stop acting like a fool, Rich Marks, and get back to talking like yourself. It's tough to not sound like a guru and you want to share. But there's some approaches I've learned over the years that are helpful. And that's what I'm putting in my book. Because I think and I believe that anyone in this world can create content and have a social media presence and build up a brand, even if they think they're the most boring person in the world or they've got nothing unique to share. I'm sure if you just do a couple exercises from the book, you're going to find something and want to share it. Or you're just going to say, yeah, I could share that, but you're not going to. And that's fine too. Or you're just like looking, or maybe you're scrolling through social media too much and you know it's a problem and you're sick of doing it, but you just keep doing it and you're not sharing anything. It's like, oh, I'm just going to delete social media. And then you delete it. And then you download it. And then you're stuck in that vortex again. And then you're at work and you do 2 hours of work. And then for the rest of the day, you're on TikTok and you're like, what am I doing with my life? And then you're playing chess at night and you can't even sleep. I want to help with the people who are like that. And it's like, oh, what else? Maybe they're playing piano and nobody even knows it. It's just like, set yourself up and start playing piano. Put that out there. You're going to feel a positive result quick. If you posted every day instead of consumed, wow, I think it would be a game changer. It's a game changer for me. I know I can get trapped into scrolling and I'm not learning. That's the thing too. It's like once in a while I got to reset the algorithm and search for some good things, something I'm interested in or learning about, not just like weird jackass videos from the early 2000s. All right, my time's up here. I can literally hear my kids pulling into the driveway because it is 4 o'clock and they went to Old Sturbridge Village today and they got to go see all the little animals. And I'm grateful that my wife can do that with them. And I'm grateful that they're home now because that's a key for me to sign off this video that's getting longer and longer and longer. But I saw that the algorithm really loves these super long videos of just head talking person videos of like these new creators who are really successful on YouTube. And they're just on their phone and they're talking for like a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know what I would talk about for 2 hours. I was like, I wonder if I can hack the algorithm and just export all my videos I've ever uploaded to YouTube and do these like super long, like enjoy some Rich Marks the Spot 2 hours of intense working videos. Like, oh, you can go sit and work and just watch and listen to 2 hours of Rich Marks the Spot. I could do that with all the podcast stuff. I could just do audio with little visual, maybe a black screen. Maybe I'll export 6 hours of podcast talking with a black screen and see if that pops off. That's a fun experiment. Peace YouTube. Peace TikTok. Peace Instagram. Peace Facebook. Peace X. Peace Pinterest. Are there any other social media platforms I should be on?